I think this is a very transparent attempt to build the Democratic Democratic Party enrollment, and I think it's outrageous. I don't know who would put a bill like this together, who would even think of it.
Former New York City Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik on this program last night, bewildered by reports of a new bill that aims to give illegals the right to vote in New York City's local elections next year. But shouldn't American citizens determine the destiny of villages, towns, cities, states, indeed our entire nation? For more on this, we welcome from Newsmax Washington, Andrew Kloster, legal fellow for the Heritage Foundation. Also joining us via Skype from the nation's capital, the executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, Mark Krikorian. Mark is the co-author of the book, Open Immigration, Yay and Nay. We're a big nay on open immigration, and I would imagine, Mark, you're a big nay on just letting anybody vote who shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole point to voting is that it is reserved for people who are members of our national community, not just people who live here, but people who have gone through the steps and basically become adopted by America, because that's what being a naturalized citizen is. You're leaving one national family and you're being adopted by another one. And until you actually do that, you have no business participating in votes. And look, New York State had legislation like this non-citizen voting, not just illegals, but even legals who aren't citizens yet. This came up a number of years ago. They tried it in New York as well. And even the New York Times was against it. So, if you've got kind of a crackpot immigration plan, and even the New York Times thinks it's a bad idea, that's got to tell you something.
Yeah, Mark, but that was then and this is now. And Andrew, legalism aside, it seems to be all about politics for those who are new to this country to have a hand in voting, to vote themselves entitlements. I guess this is the bitter fruit we expect after the election of a mayor with Marxist leanings in New York like de Blasio.
Well, look, I think this may play well for sort of people in the Upper West Side, Upper East Side bubble who don't see the effects of illegal immigration. But certainly, I lived in New York for 4 years. I've talked with many average New Yorkers. I don't think this plays to them at all. And I think that it does, as Mark said, I think it calls into question the very foundations of our social contract. And it's it's short-term gains, perhaps, for some politicians, but it has very serious long-term consequences.
Ironically, we just saw some footage of Republican headquarters in 2012. Now we see the Democratic posters, the bilingual admonitions there. And, it's very interesting, Mark. The columnist Selwyn Duke wrote how it's almost a reversal. In politics, we talk about getting out the vote, but the left seems intent on bringing in the vote, and to heck with the notions of legality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's 2 points to make here. First is, even if all of the people involved in this, taking advantage of it, were legal immigrants who weren't citizens yet, it would still be a bad idea. In other words, the problem here is not so much legality, it's whether the immigrant has made that commitment to become an American. Illegal immigrants obviously have not, by definition, but even legal immigrants haven't done that yet. But the other thing is, you're right that the left does seem, and they're pretty open about this sometimes, they do seem to want to import an electorate that is more amenable to them, less demanding, less conservative, frankly. And this is a way that they see of moving the political center a little more toward bigger government, bigger state, more welfare.
Well, we take a look at what's going on nationally, Andrew. The Obama administration is working hard, apparently, to help non-citizens vote as well. Several well-funded organizations are fighting efforts to prevent non-citizens from voting in 2016. And Attorney General Loretta Lynch is helping those organizations by not defending the Election Assistance Commission in the case of League of Women Voters versus Newbie. Is there any more blatant attempt on the part of this administration to short-circuit what it means to be American than something like this?
Well, JD, I was at a hearing yesterday in federal district court in that very case, and even the district court judge was just absolutely stunned at the position of the Department of Justice. Not only was the Department of Justice trying to stand in and commandeer the EAC, which is not an executive branch agency, it's an independent agency. So not only was DOJ trying to write their own policy for them, not only was there a lot of behind-the-scenes problems, but in court they were rolling over and agreeing with these activists who brought this lawsuit. And the judge said things like, this is unprecedented, this reflects poorly on you, the individual lawyer, and on your section in the Department of Justice. These are not things that you normally hear in federal court, but it really is just stunning, the position that the Obama administration has taken. And that case in particular is very important because it deals with the federal government trying to tell states how they can and cannot, or who can and cannot qualify for the ballot, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, Andrew, it is amazing. Final 30 seconds to you, Mark, and since states have the jurisdiction over this, maybe that explains the madness in Sacramento, Governor Jerry Brown signing a bill opening doors for non-citizens to vote out there.
Well, again, it's just like what you're seeing with de Blasio in New York. This is an attempt to erase the differences between citizens and non-citizens, so that being an American, in the view of a lot of these people on the left, is merely a question of where you live, rather than making a commitment to fellow citizens and to our Constitution.
So much for protecting the franchise and really protecting what it means to be a citizen. Andrew Kloster at Newsmax Washington, Mark Krikorian, likewise Skyping in from Washington. Gentlemen, you have our thanks. Up next, our political panel, Liz Peek and Wayne Allen Root, weighing in on what's happening.